Welcome back, Locked on Nuggets. It's been so long. It is so good to see you all back from San Francisco with a fresh tan. Y'all, today we're going to talk about how All-Star Weekend was, the events of All-Star. We're going to talk about, is Jokic going to win his fourth MVP? Yo, Wemby, he's out for the rest of the year. Who takes over the DPOY spot? And more award races to come. Y'all, this is Locked on Nuggets. Ryan, Swipa. Y'all know what time it is. Let's get it.
You are Locked on Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked on Nuggets. This is your team every single day. Shout out to y'all. Good to see you again. I got my dog Ryan Blackburn here with me, the number one chart man on NBA Twitter, Michael Malone's right-handed man, the man that Jamal Murray shouts out in the middle of a press conference and said, hey, check out those charts, Ryan Blackburn. This is where we are, y'all. I haven't seen y'all since Tuesday of last week. Man. I have been in San Francisco. There's been so much going on, so much basketball, so much content, y'all. I cannot wait to get into today's episode, y'all. Today's episode, by the way, brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Y'all, we are back. And Ryan Blackburn.
Yes, sir.
How was your All-Star weekend? I haven't seen you in a while, brother.
Man, it was up and down. I'll say I've got that Stockholm syndrome where when you're working in the NBA and you try to take some time off, all you keep doing is thinking about what you should be doing for your NBA work. And so I got caught up in that a little bit, especially on Saturday. But the day before that, had a nice little Valentine's Day. My brother and I hanging out. Nothing, still single, man, but having a fun time. We made ribeyes and just had a fun evening together. But yeah, it's just nice to kick back, and I didn't think about any NBA until I had to. It was great.
Shout out, man. So as many of you are aware, I was in San Francisco. I think I got in the morning of Thursday that day, so could not do a show that day, could not do a show Friday. And then I got back actually on Tuesday. And y'all, San Francisco was quite the interesting show, man. This was my first All-Star game, and the NBA outdid itself. San Francisco, the entire city was draped in NBA paraphernalia. They just absolutely showed up across the board, from grocery stores to shopping places to night out, the night scene. It was absolutely amazing, y'all. The NBA, man, it's a business, man, and you really got a chance to see what a billion-dollar industry looks like and kind of how they're selling and marketing their programs. But the NBA events were dope. The NBA crossover was a fan event that we got a chance to see at the NBA media side a little bit early before the fans did. They got a chance to do it and participate in that on that Saturday. The Rising Stars game was very interesting. Got a chance to see Julian Strawther in person. He won his minutes when he played. And then I saw Asar Thompson miss 4 straight free throws that ended up costing them that game in the Rising Stars game.
Yeah.
Got a chance to watch the dunk contest live. And guess what? Matt McClung is every bit as good of a dunker as you remember watching him on YouTube. Stephon Castle was amazing. The three-point challenge was very interesting. I thought Damian Lillard was going to have a better second-round performance. Tyler Hero pulling out that dub. And then the All-Star game. Kevin Hart being a little bit funny. Some of his jokes not landing. Got a chance to watch SGA, Jokic, Wemby. Man, I mean, honestly, it was really, truly like a special time. And I think, obviously everybody kind of knows my story. Starting on YouTube in December of 2020 and then making it to this point, being a credentialed NBA media member, doing all the stuff that I'm doing now, traveling literally the U.S. And soon to be the world on behalf of basketball, on behalf of the NBA. It's been quite the journey in just the 4 years since we got started. But NBA All-Star Weekend, y'all, it was amazing.
Been a long time coming for you, man. I remember back in our early days where I was getting invited onto your stuff. You were getting invited onto my stuff, and we're like, "Hey, this is pretty cool. You're actually pretty good at what you do." And I don't think we either of us fully recognized where this was going to go. But it's been a journey. It's been a lot of fun, and you've earned all of it. So congratulations on being able to get out there. Who do you think was the most interesting or fun or funny person that you were able to talk to while you were out there?
Well, what's funny is, man, Pascal Siakam, you know, he's a lot more. I mean, you kind of always knew he was down to earth, but he's super down to earth, super funny. You know, in a media scrum, if y'all don't know kind of how media scrum works, when an All-Star weekend, literally a player will be set up at a booth and the media are there waiting for him. But as soon as they walk into the area, everybody just swarms and talking about anywhere from 20 to 50 media members with lights and cameras and microphones. They're in the player's face. The player at this podium, he has a light shining straight into his face so it can be illuminated for all the cameras. And some of the players are vets. Like Donovan Mitchell's a vet. Donovan Mitchell will literally point to you, and so that way you know who he's asking to ask a question. But then on the other end, Pascal Siakam, you know, he literally like putting his hands up like, I don't know how to do this, y'all. Like, y'all just everybody ask questions all at once. I don't know where it's coming from. But he was just super cool, super down to earth. Jaren Jackson Jr. was cool. Evan Mobley, super cool dude. Obviously, you know, Jokic is Jokic. Jokic is always laid back and down to earth. But everybody, man, honestly, like all the players, you know, in their own way have their own personalities. You know, Donovan Mitchell, very engaging, very active. The HBCU schools, historically black colleges and university, they had the HBCU special on Saturday, I think at 2 p.m. that day. But they also had some students that were representing some of these HBCU schools that were there asking questions with some coaches and stuff as well. So shout out to the NBA for that partnership and just doing all the things they can to advance and advocate for HBCUs. But all the way around, man, it was really honestly amazing. NBA 2K had a really crazy event. And so you got a chance to go there. You got a chance to compete to win a free PS5 every single day on behalf of NBA 2K. They had a bunch of shooting challenges and all kind of stuff you can tap into everywhere, man. Bleacher Report has stuff going on. Complex has stuff going on. There were events every single night. There was stuff going on. I mean, honestly, like, now, see, Ryan, I don't know. Are you much of a socialite? Like, do you, once you get done with work, do you go? Do you like doing stuff?
So I would go to some of this stuff, especially like if you're around like-minded people and being able to do some NBA events. What I will say, just kind of responding to some of the things you're talking about, it definitely coming through on the broadcast. A lot of what you're talking about doesn't come through, just because it's some of the stuff that's behind the scenes. It's what they're doing. It's what they're doing for the people that are on the ground, the people that are making the trip out there, the fans that are in attendance. They're trying to make it an exclusive thing for the folks that are there. So a lot of the disappointment, I think, that came through on the broadcast, it's not shared by the people that were there. It's not shared by the people that were able to be there in person for these things. So if you're a Nuggets fan, if you're an NBA fan, if you're wanting to kind of have a fun trip and really kind of cover the NBA or just kind of be around it, this would be a fun thing for people to do. It's probably something fun to spring for.
Yeah, I think everybody, if you're in the chat, if you can make the opportunity, if they ever appear in your city or something like that, I would say, you know, give it a try. I know everybody has financial limitations and all that.
Absolutely.
But because trust me, that some of that stuff is like definitely expensive. But I would say that, it's a lot. But Ryan, you know, y'all don't know this. Me and Ryan and I are friends outside of this, y'all. And I'll let y'all behind the curtain a little bit. I have tried so many times to get Ryan to come out with the friends, with the fellas, you know, with some of the Mile High Sports folks, and to go see the cities. And Ryan would, you know, we would have a blast, we have a fun, we dance a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, be out there. But I'm telling you, Ryan, if you would have went out to San Francisco, dog, it was live every single evening, dog. Like, there was so much going on, so many people, man. I met some of the dopest people. Oh, shout out Brandon Jennings, by the way, and Josiah Johnson. You know, met up with Gills Arena and all them, and got a chance to, like, you know, just say what's up to everybody and just kind of like make some connections and stuff there. Shout out Numbers on the Pod, Numbers on the Board rather, with Kenny Beecham and the rest of them. Got a chance to link up with them. Bro, we met like so many agents and so many different people in the industry, but I met some of the biggest hoop TikTok heads that you can think about. And honestly, man, like, there's a next level to this stuff. You know, I know y'all, like, if you're looking to make a break into the NBA, you're looking to make a break into like kind of covering the NBA on your own, and, you know, you're just wanting to try to figure out like what are the next steps for you personally if you want to go beyond just being a fan of the sport. This is the time to do it. 100%. I think anybody in here that really wants to go pursue the NBA, you can ask Ryan, myself, how to do it, but just get started, dog, because the content engine of YouTube is the next level. And I know like a lot of people like we're still behind in that and like representation in terms like from the YouTube side, but it's coming. Like I'm a prime example, like, moving from YouTube, moving into the NBA media space and working for the league itself. Like everybody up here, man, like if you want to do it, I definitely give it a shot.
Connections, very important. Most important, like, as people do actually want to connect with you for the most part, especially if you're at a place like that. Everybody's generally pretty kind in those situations. They want to take care of you if you're making the effort, if you're just nice, if you say, hey, I'm a big fan of your work. That's when people are like, all right, now I'm trying to help you out. So it's really pretty simple. So definitely do it. Definitely, if you have an opportunity to do it, you should. I should definitely try to make my way out to All-Star Game next year.
Bro. By the way, shout out. I want to give a shout out to a special person, Jamad. She has Jamad basketball camp. I believe she's Somalian. I hope I got that correctly. She wears a hijab, a full like traditional Muslim garment when she hoops, but she is mad cool. Her people, mad cool. Got a crazy platform, man. Like honestly, bro, like there are so many different people in this industry that are doing some dope stuff. I'm telling y'all, you in the chat could be the next one. On the other side, y'all, it's time to get into real MVP conversations. Who should win this year's MVP as of right now, and what does Joker have to do to make sure his name is on that Michael Jordan trophy for the 4th time? All that next year on Locked On Nuggets. Now, when the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on than on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Now, with FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Now, I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late-game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, I never feel I miss my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use. And when you win, you get paid instantly. Now, right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We'll be right back for more, y'all, on Locked On Nuggets. Yes, sir. We are back here for Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swipa, with one of his besties, Ryan Blackburn. Y'all, make sure if you're listening to this on the Apple, iTunes, Spotify side, you give us a 5-star review. That way more and more people can listen to what the great content is being made here at Locked On Nuggets. If you're on YouTube, we are on the way to 10,000 subscribers. On the way there, almost there, y'all. Make sure the half of y'all that are watching this that are not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right there. That way we can get there come NBA playoff time. But y'all, let's get straight into it, Ryan Blackburn. Now, MVP prop. This has been one of the funnest MVP races in the last several years. If you ask me, Ryan Blackburn, I think this is going to be a 2-horse race the rest of the year. I think there's going to be some really special basketball played by both Jokic and SGA. But Ryan Blackburn, what do you feel like? Number one, who's your MVP pick as of right now? What do you feel like Jokic is going to have to do to close out the season to secure his 4th NBA MVP award?
Man, it's one thing that I think people shouldn't take for granted is that last year was kind of toxic because I think Dallas fans they were really trying to prop up Luka. And sorry to Dallas fans, you don't have the opportunity to do that anymore. Before that, it was the Philly toxicity that I think everybody knows pretty well and true. Even like there's some stuff with Milwaukee. This year it hasn't been quite as toxic. It has an opportunity to get to that place because I think OKC fans, I've certainly felt it from a like OKC skepticism perspective. Like I don't have any skepticism for OKC, but their fans are pretty like they really, really, really want this happening this year. And they want SGA to win. And he's currently the favorite right now on FanDuel, -440. Jokic is second at +300. Next highest is Giannis at +7,500. What that says to me is you're right, man. It's a 2-horse race. I don't really see much of a way that anybody else can crack that, including Giannis. Like, he's just too far back. I think that I would have Jokic. I'm biased, like, admittedly, because like I get to watch him every night. I don't get to watch SGA every night. I don't like go out of my way to do that. I think that like SGA is great, and I've watched several of his games this year, and the numbers that he's putting up are ridiculous. I think that what people don't fully appreciate when they're watching Jokic and seeing his numbers is that SGA's numbers are better than anybody else that he's ever had to go up against in the MVP race, ever. I think it's better than Embiid's. I think it's better than Doncic's. I think it's better than Giannis's. I think this is the best statistical case for anybody other than Jokic in the last few years. There will be some arguments for Embiid and the points that he's been putting up. But I think what SGA does and the dynamics that he has as both an offensive and defensive player, it's like it should be 50-50, I think, for what this race is. So I don't bemoan anybody for having Shai. I think that Nuggets fans shouldn't bemoan anybody else for having Shai. I think it should be Jokic, but I'm just one person, and I'm somebody who covers the Nuggets. So like I can understand that bias from that perspective.
Yeah, this year SGA is averaging 32.5 points, 5.1 rebounds, 6.1 assists, 1.9 steals, 1.0 blocks per game, 34 minutes a game, 52.3% from the field, 36% from three, 89.7% from the free throw line on 63.9 true shooting, which is ridiculous for a guard.
And given the shot quality, like he takes a lot of tough shots, especially in the mid range, and has been making those at such an incredible clip that like this isn't an Embiid thing. This isn't a Giannis thing where they're trying to maximize where they are shooting from. And now there's some foul baiting still, but it's less than what Embiid has been doing in like the times where he's been kind of campaigning for his own MVP. So like, I don't know, man. The free throw stuff used to be a factor for me. It's no longer as much of a factor for me as I think a lot of people make it out to be.
Yeah, SGA, just from I actually think what makes SGA's argument so strong is the statistical profile, but also it's the win profile, because I think that's the thing that you have to have both in order to be able to deal with Joker. You know, right. You have to be able to put up like truly like efficient, great numbers across the board. And if you just look at SGA's shooting profile, like just even as what he does on a high level, like SGA is shooting this year. He's shooting on pull-ups. He has a 50.3 effective field goal percentage. Catch and shoot, he has a 68.4 effective field goal percentage. 2-point field goals. He's just shooting out of his mind. His mid-range has been insane this year. Yeah. And I think that's what makes him so like just daunting when you're just talking about him as a player. Like this year, like his ability as a mid-range shooter, he's shooting just from in the paint, non-restricted area mid-range, 49.3%. From mid-range, he's shooting, which is traditional mid-range, he's shooting 50.4%. And y'all, he's doing this on massive volume, basically over 500 total mid-range shots so far this year. That's going to end up being around where Kawhi was several years ago, or Durant was just a few years ago. Like SGA's efficiency as an offensive player is truly remarkable. And SGA in any other year, I think, would be the clear runaway favorite. This year, while on the court, if you just filter out for non-garbage time on PvP stats, SGA is a plus 19.81 when he's on the court this year, which is historically great, even better than Steph Curry in 2015 and 16. They have a 123.8 offensive rating when him on the court and 104.0 defensive rating with him on the court. But this is when we get into it. So Jokic, on the other hand, this year, filter out garbage time, the Denver Nuggets are a plus 12.81 when he's on the court this year. They have the best offense ever, a 128.80, and they have a 115.9 defense rating. Now, but the Nuggets are a minus 10.08 when he's off. Whereas OKC, they're a plus 4.6 when he's off this year. Now, I know people don't do on-off stuff, but I think for me, we'll get into a larger conversation about this, Ryan, even in the next segment. I think it needs to be put into balance that while OKC hasn't had Chet and then Hart for periods, they also still have the best defensive personnel, I would argue, other than maybe possibly 04-05 Detroit Pistons. Like they're on that level defensively. Yeah. And so when you have that level of shot making this year, plus really an all-time great defense around you, I do think that the floor raising SGA's done is remarkable, but it's also going to be helped off the back of, I don't think there's anybody else that has the defensive personnel to match what he's done this year at the same time. Whereas Jokic, as we know, for the early part of the season, Jamal Murray wasn't himself. Aaron Gordon in and out of the lineup. They missed Russ for several games. Porter had been in and out of the lineup. Jokic himself had a baby, missed 3 games, had the flu, missed a game. You put all that stuff together, Joker has managed to create the best offensive season we've ever seen. I have been arguing, Ryan, that so far this season, 91 Jordan, 2012-13 LeBron, and 2000 Shaquille O'Neal. Those are the only 3 seasons, I think, that you could argue have been better. But I would say better because of the two-way value for those years. But those are probably the 3 best seasons ever. And I would contend that Jokic falls right behind there somewhere. Now, you got 67, Wilt Chamberlain. You got like some other years that fall in there. You got 86 Bird. But I think Jokic is the better years than both of them.
Yeah.
And, man, I'm just telling you, dude, like, I think we're going to look back on this year, Ryan, and be like, you're telling me there's somebody that averaged 30, 13, and 10 on 67 true shooting, who's shooting non-heave threes, 48% from 3 in the half court, and 60+% from 2 this year, and 82% from the free throw line.
It is crazy that like you remove heaves and he's actually shooting 3% higher, like from 3. And that is probably the best case that you can come up with is he's 30, 13, and 10 on 67 true shooting on a team that may be the 2 seed in the Western Conference by the end of this thing. You can't use winning against him. And OKC has been historically great, but they are a team, and they are a large mix of elite defensive players that I think provide their baseline. They have a second all-star there. They have a player that OKC fans like to compare to Victor Wembanyama as elite defender in Chet Holmgren. They got Isaiah Hartenstein, who was one of the best defensive players in the NBA last year. They got Alex Caruso, who was same thing. And those guys aren't even like their best defenders. Lou Dort's a guy they're campaigning for DPOY now. And like Chet's been at like he has been missing a whole bunch of time. So like, look, I think it's important for OKC to get a certain amount of credit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they're going to get it. I think in the awards they will find a way. My guess is that Shai will win this thing just because of the gravity of how like great they are going to be by the end of it. Like if they're winning 65 games and he's their clear best player and he's been dominant, it will be hard for Jokic to do it no matter what. But it doesn't mean that like it shouldn't take away from either of those guys how great both of their seasons have been. And I think if you're going Jokic as an individual candidate, best stats on a good team versus SGA, who has great stats on an elite, like historical team, I can understand making the case for either of those guys. And I think Nuggets fans are a little bit too quick to dismiss the idea that SGA is a worthy candidate. He is clearly a worthy candidate.
On the other side, we're going to finish this conversation about awards. And then we're going to have a juicy conversation about some other awards as well. We'll be back on the other side here at Locked On Nuggets. We're back for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets, talking about MVP, talking about awards. Now, here's the thing, Ryan. I've watched you and Matt talk about this, and I think that like there's an over concentration on people that are naysayers within the community. Fans are fans. Like OKC fans don't want Joker to win, and I think there are Denver fans that don't want SGA to win. They want their guy to win. And I think like even like having to like write off like, you know, well, you don't need to I mean, that's just what it is. Like if you are a favor of a certain player, fans are always going to have conversations that are going to be complicit in bias because that's just the way they view the sport. We watch those players every game. And I think you can make a really, truly great argument for SGA about MVP. That really is just a standalone argument. But I think the problem is that when you have the conversation about MVP between the two, I have to then compare both. All of the advanced numbers except for EPM, which again, I think my issue with EPM this year, it's like they're telling me that SGA has been like this 8th, 10th best defender in the sport this year. And I'm just like in the second best offensive player. And I just don't think that's the proper approximation for how good he's been defensively given who he's around. Now that's me. I know other people disagree with that. I think Joker's been not just like far and away the best offensive player. I think he's having the best offensive season ever, while also having, in terms of grades, they're saying he's been a slight positive defensively this year as well.
Yeah.
I think the issue is the level of floor raising that Joker's had to get through because of the personnel that they've had and because of the injuries this team has had or the other performance this team has had. That's not being included in any of these conversations. And I think the next part of this is Joker's going to have multiple national television games coming up. They're playing the Lakers 3 times. They're playing the Celtics. They're playing the Thunder twice. Joker goes out, balls, and the Nuggets keep winning games. I think it's going to be very difficult, not for Joker to win, but for you to keep the MVP out of Joker's hands. Because the issue is going to be, the argument was winning. Okay, well, now they're dominating. And then if they win games versus these really good teams that people love, and some of these favorites, then the conversation is going to have to shift. But on the other end of this, again, my friend Chris Broussard, who I have a lot of respect for, he said on his show, First Things First, just yesterday, that if Jokic hadn't already won 3 MVPs, he thinks he would win. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Are we talking about who's having the best season and the most impactful season? Or are we including things about historical consequences?
This was part of the conversation, I think, around the Embiid MVP and where you had Giannis win 2, then Jokic win 2. And a lot of people are like, are we really going to want to look back at NBA history and say, oh, yeah, well, Jokic won 3, Giannis won 2, and Embiid won 0? Mm-hmm. Nah, it doesn't feel like super balanced. It doesn't feel right based off of how good Embiid is.
Right.
And that was wrong. That was the wrong way to look at it. It was clearly a dumb way. And I think history is going to look back very unfavorably on that decision. So you might be right about this, man. And like Jokic, of course, has an opportunity to change that, especially in those March 9th and March 10th games. If they go into OKC and win twice in 2 days, holy cow, that will flip the narrative so fast.
And then on top of that, y'all, the MVP tracker right now, Basketball Reference, which is a ranked candidate based on a model built on previous voting results, they have Jokic winning the MVP with a 73% probability. So again, in a traditional year with Jokic not having won anything prior to this season, I do think that if a player was averaging 30, 13, and 10 and had a plus 12.8 net rating, and I told you this before the show and you thought this was interesting, the Nuggets are better this year than any other year they've ever had with Joker on the court.
Yeah. That is
for you. Why is that so important for you, do you think?
Well, when you're talking about MVPs and you're talking about value, you're talking about the most valuable, I think if Jokic is the most valuable he has ever been, and he's won 3 previously and they've won a championship in a year before, and this year he is better than ever. Most of the time when people talk about, okay, how can you give somebody MVP again? Well, they have to add something additional to their game. They have to be even better than they were before. Jokic has done that. Like it's pretty clear that he has done that. So I think it's very fair to at least question whether people are just going to vote for SGA at this point because they don't want to give it to Jokic again. And look, that's happened to LeBron before. It's happened to Michael Jordan before. It's happened to a lot of these guys before. And you rolled your eyes at that, but it's true.
No,
like
I get it. I just have been so against that position
for
several years. Yeah,
I get it. Like I don't think that Derrick Rose should have won in 2011. That's I think pretty strong. But there's a lot of takes that have been floating out there for MVP. The thing is, it's not satisfied yet. It's not done yet. There's a lot of basketball left to be played, including games against like SGA, between SGA and Jokic and the Nuggets and Thunder. So it's going to be like there's still basketball and story left to be written here for this MVP candidacy.
And I also think, again, some of the traditional stuff, Joker's leading the NBA in box plus minus and VORP and win shares per 48. He's close to setting the record that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar set several decades ago, by the way. He's a .334 this year.
Which is crazy.
Yes, and SGA is right behind him. Not right, but behind him at plus 3.2 or .32. Jokic this year, among volume scorers, he's by far the most efficient volume scorer in the league. So I think all of that stuff put together, for me, it's just a matter of I do not ever sit on the side of just because somebody won before they shouldn't won. I believe in heart of hearts that Michael Jordan should have won in 1997 when Karl Malone won. I don't give it. I don't care. Like, he had a better season that year. He was more impactful. I don't think Charles Barkley should have beat him in 93, 94. I thought that was an atrocity. Like, I just don't think that I'm not on the side of, because you have a better team record and because you have your most impactful season, that if another player is having an impactful season but on less wins, then somehow you don't give them an award. I thought in 2011, LeBron James should have won. Like, I've been consistent on this, and I think this year, I mean, we're going to look back, and Jokic's 2 best MVP seasons, he's not going to have an MVP for, possibly.
Yeah.
And I think that's hilarious. And then
it is funny.
So, but again, I think that's the historic nature of what Joker's doing. I just think people are still, well, it's funny, because even when you watch the Court of Gold documentary, Ryan, from Team USA to Serbia to France to whoever to Netflix, everybody is acknowledging Joker's the best player in the world. Steve Kerr himself, with LeBron, Steph, and KD on the roster, Jokic is the best player in the world. But it's like, but just because you're the best player in the world, like Kendrick Perkins said, it doesn't mean you're the most impactful player in the sport.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, we don't even need to go there. I'm with you, man. I hear the argument. It's important for people to not get caught up in the past and to be voting on this award based off of this year, not off of the last few years where Jokic has also won. Like, it's completely reasonable. So should we talk about some of the other award races?
Victor Wembanyama's out. So DPOY, who do you think wins DPOY this year?
Just thinking about it and looking at it, it's really tough to evaluate. It looks like Jaren Jackson and Evan Mobley are basically neck and neck for like the odds. It's funny. So you've got Jaren Jackson and Evan Mobley. Then you've got Dyson Daniels as a third place option. And then you've got Lou Dort, Shai, and Jalen Williams as the 4th, 5th, and 6th voted options there. That's stupid.
Well, that also speaks to the issue of OKC.
Yes, I know.
Like,
I know.
What do you mean you got 4 people that are up for the DPOY?
Yeah, and like Isaiah Hartenstein is still extremely impactful. Alex Caruso is coming off of their bench. Aaron Wiggins would be playing MVP, or he'd be playing playoff minutes for the Nuggets for sure. Like, and then you've got Chet coming back. So there's a reason why Shai looks as good as he does defensively. If he had the personnel that Denver has defensively around him, it would look a little bit different. That being said, I think Jaren's got the inside track now. Like, if they finish as the 2 seed and Memphis continues to be a top 5 defense, then I think that they've got an opportunity here.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, man. I know they've been very good defensively. The Memphis Grizzlies are 7th defensively over the course of this year. So, I mean, I guess, like, you know what I mean? Like that, I guess that's what they're going to.
I think it's like, look, their best perimeter defender is Jalen Wells. So, like, It's not like they do have, I think, like, not awesome defensive personnel, but Jaren Jackson is still being massively impactful. He is
How about this, though? The players that would have a lower defensive rating when they're on the court, and these are also winning players. Yeah. Shai, it has the lowest defensive rating in the NBA this year, 103.1.
Okay.
Right. Whatever. Take that into a grain of salt. Jalen Williams, 104.7. Ivica Zubac, 106.2. 106.8 for Evan Mobley. And then you got Dylan Brooks, 108.2. But then I guess what I'm trying to figure out is Rudy Gobert's there at 108.2.
That's a sneaky one. That's a sneaky one.
But they're also, Minnesota, they're better defensively right now than even the Memphis Grizzlies are. And he's a better rim protector than Jaren Jackson.
I'm looking at the odds right now. Rudy is down at plus 4,800. That seems like a good long shot bet for people. I'm not going to lie. That's pretty crazy.
So is Rudy?
I think that they'll want to give it to a guy like Jaren Jackson.
So Rudy's just not going to win it because they don't want him to win it, basically, is what I'm hearing.
I mean, you've heard that before about award season.
I guess, man. Okay. Yeah. So I think Jaren Jackson or Evan Mobley are going to win it this year.
Okay.
Most improved player.
Looking at the odds, you've got Cade, Norman Powell, Tyler Hero, Evan Mobley, and Dyson Daniels as the primary, like, top 5 candidates. It really looks like Cade versus Norman Powell. The spirit of the award would say Norman Powell. Like, that's what it should be, not the number 1 overall pick who's like in his 4th season and expected to get better.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think it should be Norm.
I think Norman Powell, Christian Brown, and Dyson Daniels should be the top 3.
What about Tyler Hero?
I think he can make a third-team All-NBA this year. I picked him for
Well,
All-Star months ago.
like he went from a guy, like I was actually just arguing about this with Matt. Like he went from a guy who was like 75th or 78th on the ESPN Top 100 to a guy who's like third team All NBA.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't have an issue with it. I think Tyler Hero, Norman Powell, Christian Brown, Dyson Daniels, any of those four, I'll be completely fine with. I think Christian Brown. What's funny is Christian, if you look at the improvements, he's the most improved player on a year-to-year end, other than Norman Powell for the most part.
Yeah,
but he's not going to get the award because he's playing with Joker.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like, so
made tangible improvements to his game, though.
So everyone is getting a boost except for Joker team, because everyone says the reason you make a boost is because of Joker.
Yeah,
but Joker's not the MVP though. That's what I'm. You understand my logic and what I'm trying to understand.
We can't give CB the most improved player because he's playing with Joker. We can't give Jamal an all-star appearance because he's playing with Joker. Same thing with Michael Porter.
Malone, coach of the year.
Malone can't be coach of the year. But we can't give Joker the MVP this year because
he's already won 3.
Yeah.
Well, so you understand what I'm saying though? Like,
of course, it's hypocritical. Yeah.
Why is Joker getting penalized for winning, and then everyone else around Joker getting penalized for playing with Joker? that doesn't make sense. I'm saying Christian Brown legitimately, like I would say, he went from I don't know how many people thought he could be a legitimate starter in this league to but he's one of the best 2 guards in the NBA.
Yeah, like I think EPM has him about like the 60th best player in the NBA this year. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. He's the second best third-year player behind Jalen Williams, who's an all-star. So like there's a lot of reason to like he should have a significant case. We should start campaigning for him, I think. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they'll listen to us. Maybe. All right, let's do coach of the year.
Coach of the year.
I feel like it's pretty easy.
Yeah, Kenny Atkinson's the one who, like, he's got the best odds. He's minus 700. The next highest is plus 1,200 at Ime Udoka.
What?
Who else would you count?
Mark Daigneault.
He's at plus 3,000.
Man, stop it. This is what I'm talking about. That doesn't make any sense. They're even better this year. And they did it. SJ, he did all this without Chet and all this.
Did this without Chet. Didn't Daigneault win Coach of the Year last year?
Yes, and he's done an even better job this year.
Is it possible that they're not giving him as much credit? They might give Sam Presti a little bit more credit for like Executive of the Year because he's the one who added one of those guys to the roster.
Is he going to win Executive of the Year, you think, for the Hart and Caruso move?
I mean, honestly, Rob Pelinka should probably win Executive of the Year for like body bagging Nico Harrison.
No, absolutely not. The NBA should revolt against any move towards them. All right, so not him. Bro, what about this? How about the real spirit of Coach of the Year? Listen to me. Jordy Fernandez.
No,
don't look at the odds. Don't look at the odds.
Many games.
We're talking about coaching. Coaching. Jamal Mosley. Look what they did with these hurt rosters. Yeah. Have you watched? Jordy Fernandez has the Brooklyn Nets fighting every single day with no talent. No talent on the roster.
That is true.
Cam Thomas missed time. Ben Simmons rebuilt Ben Simmons and found a way to make it work. Nick Claxton had a worse year than previous. Found a way to make it work. Keon Johnson was a draft bust. Found a way to make it work. Zaire Williams passed off from Memphis. Found a way to make it work.
Jordy's good, man. Like, I think we all know that. There's no question about it. I do think that, like, it's hard to give they're 20 and 34.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but we have to take
really hard to give them that.
But what is a coach of the year supposed to do? Is it always just winning, or is it who's done the best job with the team around them, if that makes sense? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That's a good point. I think a lot of people probably thought that Brooklyn would win about 20 games total this year, if not less. So they're already at that point, and there's still 28 games left to go in the season. So it's a fair argument.
Yeah. So, all right, Coach of the Year, we got that. Sixth Man of the Year, who wins this year?
Odds say Peyton Pritchard by the looks of it.
Oh, my gosh.
DeAndre Hunter, Malik Beasley, Naz Reid. Amin Thompson's still there, despite the fact that he's been starting lately.
Right. Peyton Pritchard going to win that by default, isn't he? Because Casey Wallace not going to win. I mean,
don't
honestly,
know. Like,
Wiggins or Case and Wallace, honestly.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Is like it's hard to pick one guy. For
Which
OKC
Thunder do you want to give credit to?
Right. Like they should get best bench. That's for sure. Like they are so clearly the best bench in the
How many players on Thunder will make an all defense? J-Dub, SGA, Lou Dort.
SGA, J-Dub, Lou Dort will all make it. I do not think that Caruso will make it. Chet will be ineligible.
Will Hart be ineligible? Isaiah Hartenstein, he's going to be ineligible too?
I don't think he's actually, that's a good question. I don't know how many games he's actually played. He's only played 34. Yeah, he's ineligible. So
how many would he have to play the rest of? So he has to play the rest of the year.
Nah, they still like it have to get up to 65. They don't have 31 games.
Well, this
left.
is what I'm saying. Like, Hart's been incredible this year. I thought he could win DPOY this year. Chet, obviously, was my pick.
Yeah.
All right. What else do we have? Executive of the Year, Sam Presti.
Clutch Player of the Year.
Oh, Jokic. Yeah, Jokic.
I think it's got to be Jokic. He's got the best odds. Trae Young is right behind him, and Jalen Brunson is in the conversation.
All right, let me put this up. Player clutch stats currently. So we have, let's see, filter out this.
Shai's got an argument for that, I think, but he's not really in the conversation here. Yeah, it's interesting. I think Joker has done enough this year to, I think, validate that. Yeah, no, I think that should be him. It's either him or Trae. Trae's made a lot of clutch plays.
All right, let's see. We got let me go to totals. Because actually, I'm curious about what this looks like right now.
Yeah.
Totals, field goals attempted, greater. Let's do 25. Let's do 25.
We're running out of time.
Who cares? They don't. No one cares. They don't care. They're here for this. They haven't seen me in forever anyway. So
it's true.
We're perfectly fine. Yeah, Jokic among players for 40 or more field goal attempts in the clutch. He's shooting 56.7% from the field. He's shooting 54.5% from three with 20 assists as well. So,
Jesus. Yeah. I will say he's had a lot of turnovers in the clutch this year.
Who cares?
I mean, I think the stats do, but that's fine. We don't care about that. No, he should be clutch player of the year. That's I think pretty well considered. Although if Trae keeps making buzzer beaters, then he'll have an argument. That's for sure. Bro,
SGA's not even on here with 40 plus field goals because they're never in the clutch. By the way,
I get it.
They're not in the clutch. They don't get to tight moments this year. And then let me see, do it for 20 shots. Is he even on the list? SGA, yeah, he's taken 28 shots in the clutch this year. SGA shooting 50%, and then 60% from three from 6 to 10, but obviously not a lot of attempts.
Yeah, I mean he's been good. Like there's no question about it. He just doesn't have the volume.
Oh my gosh. All right.
All right, Rookie of the Year, Steph Castle.
Well, I thought Jalen Wells, but no Wemby might interview Stephon.
Jalen Wells is second on those odds. He I think does like have a real case. People don't know about Jalen Wells, man. I watched him guard Jamal Murray and like give him hell in that first game, in that first matchup, and he's given a lot of guards hell this year. Like he's a really good defender. So people watch Jalen Wells. He's a guy who's going to be a factor both in the regular season and playoffs.
Okay, best player per minute in the NBA, is that Jalen Pickett?
He's got a plus 31 net rating with Jokic per cleaning the glass. That's crazy. That's a good number. I hope Jalen continues to find playing time this year.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, that's going to do it, y'all, for this episode of Locked On Nuggets. Y'all make sure, let us know in the comment section, who do you think the MVP this year is? What do you think? Who has the best argument for MVP in your mind? Not what the other player isn't or is doing. Who has the best argument for the award? Do you think Christian Brown should win Most Improved? Who do you think should win Coach of the Year? Sixth Man of the Year? Is that Russell Westbrook? Let us know what you think in the comment section. This is Swipa. Ryan, see you on the other side.